ourselves. Get this, we get that. Okay. So how do you want to start off this thing? So we're now, and it's now recording.
I really like our last
session as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it too.
So,
and I
would like to hit that groove again, but I don't want to squander some of the good stuff, most of which I don't remember anymore, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. Do we want to start off with a little pan of where we're in? We could even do like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, where you could come in the door and sit down, and we could do something with that. Because what I could do is I can go over here, I can pull the camera off and just either pan, or we can start off with you coming in.
I don't want to.
Or just here we are sitting
here. Theatrical is going to be misleading, especially the first fucking frames matter a lot.
Yeah, I agree. People are either saying, "Do I want to watch these guys or don't I?"
Oh yeah, so let's give this some thought.
So we could moon the camera, and that might be interesting. It's actually
now that we have your attention, ladies and gentlemen.
A little pressed ham.
What if it was just a narrative, just audio behind it, introducing what this is. So I'm Greg Barringer. I'm a whatever you want to say.
Right. This is how we started last time.
What?
This is how we started last time. Actually, we just introduced ourselves.
As you come in, you're panning, and they don't see you.
Oh, I see.
So you're coming in and you're talking.
Yeah.
I'm Greg Barringer. I'm and I'm visiting my friend.
Well, so I could do this. So you could start.
I'm visiting my friend once again.
Right.
And we thought we've had dozens of these conversations.
Yeah.
That we hope haven't been lost, and we finally decided to record ourselves uncensored, ad-lib, in hopes that
it takes us somewhere.
Could capture it and something like that. You put it in your own words.
Yeah.
Just to give it context of, you want to know what the premise is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm wondering if I should just start it like either on myself.
Yeah.
And then kind of have it pan in.
Oh, right. On yourself. And then you're you're walking around introducing what this is.
Yeah. So what we could do is.
So I should get out of the frame.
No, you're going to just sit right there. I'm just going to move this thing. And we're just going to.
Can you carry it? Or you have to put it.
I can take it off. And
keep in mind, you don't want to shake and you want to move slowly.
Right. So that's
good. Right. So this is your intro.
So hang on a second. We're gonna rise it up a little bit like that. Okay. So I'm just sitting here like this, and I can just start, and then I'll kind of pan around your office.
Yeah. Here I am.
Come back.
Here we are.
Yeah. Right.
Here we all are.
Yeah. All right. Let's just play with it. I mean, it's not. We're just playing, and we're just trying to make things, see what happens. I mean, I like this idea.
But the beginning matters.
The beginning matters a lot, and it's, you're right. In the first 15 or 20 seconds, people decide whether they're going to go for the next 20 seconds or not.
Who's this dude?
So I do think you're right about that. I think I want to bring this light in even more. Light on me.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Ready?
Shoot.
All right. Hi there. This is Greg Barringer, and I'm here at my great friend Norman Klein's office here in Westport, Connecticut. And we're going to just do a little pan of the office here, and then he and I are going to have another conversation. We've had dozens of conversations over the years. I'm just going to share this space with you. So this is Norman's office here in Westport, where he helps many people out and does his work. And we're just going to pan around, and here's Norman. And we're going to come back to our spots here. All right. That wasn't too bad.
Welcome.
Here he is.
Yeah,
Norman
welcome,
Klein.
welcome, welcome, and welcome.
And welcome. Yeah, thank you for joining us today. And we're we've been talking about doing this for a while now. And this is our sort of second take edit. After a little bit of a mistake on my part the first time.
Except for lip readers.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Because the audio didn't work.
Right. Yeah, which I'm hoping I have resolved this time. It's a little bit difficult because I have no feedback with this right now. Like when I'm teaching other classes online, I get people to give me a thumbs up that they can hear me. And that lets me know. But right now I'm just kind of relying on the technology to do what it's supposed to do. And last time the technology didn't quite do what I thought it was supposed to do. And so we're trying again here. And we'll see what happens. But we're here again. And as we hope you will see and experience, Norman and I really love each other. And it's a kind of love and respect and consideration and thoughtfulness and openness that we realize doesn't come along every day. And so the conversations that we've shared over the years have nurtured us and helped us to grow and helped us to evolve in ways which I think neither one of us really knew was possible. And we realized, these are conversations that would be helpful, not just to us, but maybe to others too.
Well, here's the message in that, I think, or a message in that. I met Greg at a point in my life. I came to him to learn meditation and yoga. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist. So my mind is racing. He and I, the Venn intersection of what he and I do is large. I'm the scientist. He comes from spirit and intuition and has taught me that science ain't everything. So when I first met him, inexplicably, I connected in an immediate, profound way. And people out there know what I'm talking about. And if you do, that's how this kind of relationship gets traction, gets formed. It's a trusting one, it's an uncensored one, and it permits major growth and guidance that generalizes to the rest of at least your relationships, if not how you operate in the world. So this was a gift to both of us. And the talks we've had have been so rich and so, I hate to use the word inspirational because it sounds like an exaggeration, but so rich that and we're both teachers in a very important way. And so the teacher in us captured us, and that has resulted in this effort. And the one thing I want to say about teaching, and I am a teacher, and Greg's a teacher, the essence of teaching is not teaching. The essence of teaching is the learning that goes on by virtue of whatever it is we're doing, feeling, saying, thinking. Maybe it's a modeling thing, I don't know. But we're not teaching, you're learning. I fervently believe that.
Yeah. That's well said, Norman. And yeah, I just again reiterate appreciating being here with you in your space and the journey that we've been on over the last few years. And I also, what's kind of coming up for me now in this space that maybe we can talk about is what we've done for each other.
Well, that's good.
And then in some ways, what we do for others as well. And the thing that I've been exploring lately is this notion of being seen.
Of being
seen.
seen.
Of being seen and to some extent held, whether it be physically held or just in the space held. But what we've created for each other, I think, is
I'm not sure I understand that. Being seen.
Being seen is that you can be seen beyond the roles that you play. Like I can see you beyond your role as a psychiatrist, beyond your role as a husband, beyond your role as a father. There's those are all really important parts of you. But there's also Norman, the adventurer, Norman, the insecure, Norman, the whatever, the dancer, the masculine, the feminine, all these aspects of ourselves, which tend to get relegated to what I like to call the basement, right? Because they don't necessarily fit into those other roles sometimes.
Basement as in foundation, not
in the foundation, more in the dark recesses of our personality, right? Because we're not sure they're going to fit in with those other roles that we play, right? So what you and I have done for each other and what we tend to do for others is we give more room,
allow the basement
and
shit.
Space to allow the basement stuff to come up and for it to be like, oh, and this too, and I think we can recall a number of conversations where we've done that for each other. And that I'm finding as I continue to evolve, almost the essence of what we do, and on some level, the essence of what we need and what maybe everyone needs in order to do the deep healing.
We permit it to be okay to reveal ourselves, basement and all. I mean, judiciously. I mean, you're not going to reveal it to everybody. I mean, but with people that matter to you, to be able to reveal ourselves, given that the darknesses in us are shared by everybody, whether they suffer them or know about them. The darknesses we share are in everybody. There's nothing that comes up for us naturally that is bad or wrong. It's to be understood. It's to be controlled, maybe. But it is not shameful, and it's not worth hiding. That's the kind of openness that I have been liberated to be finding you.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so
so we get to explore the real shit.
Right.
We get to work on the stuff we hide from everybody else that we don't need to hide, because we're all human. And listen to me now, I'm a shrink. We're all human and we're all fucked up in some important way. You are, I am, he is, everybody you know, everybody you see. It's fucked up in some important way, and it's okay. We're human. Life is chaotic. The default way of being in the world is difficulty.
Yes.
No?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was Scott Peck who started his book off, The Road Less Traveled, with
The first sentence.
Life is difficult.
Right.
And then I think the next line is, once you accept that, it becomes a lot easier. right? Like once you
you accept that, you're on the right
once you
path.
stop thinking life is not supposed to be difficult,
Right.
it's supposed to be easy,
Right.
then all of a sudden it like frees you up.
Right.
Like,
And
so
I have to tell you, one of the truths that have emerged, I've been doing this a long time, and I advise people these days, never see a young shrink. Why? Well, I wouldn't say never. Hardly ever see a young shrink. Why? Because they haven't made enough mistakes. They haven't lived life. This is human enterprise. It's not dermatology. So what we have to offer, we're human like you. There's nothing magical about us. What we have to offer, first and foremost, is an ability to and willingness to be empathetic. For us to, first of all, to know how to listen, and then put yourself in that person's shoes and use your experience in your brain to help them negotiate life better than they have been negotiating it. That's all we do. That's the best we do.
that's the best we do in that regard. And I think, let's see. So that notion of shared experience or being able to empathize, not just with the pain or the difficulty that's going on, but also have some life experience from which to share insight. It's, I think, one aspect of what we do, but I kind of want to get back to this whole being seen and held thing.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because again, I think it's almost like the two edges, two sides of the thing. Like we are quite adept at listening and empathizing, and then relating back, like, saying, so the person feels
plugging
heard,
into what they need,
and then saying, well, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it, giving some options
to shepherd them out
right.
of whatever's not working.
However, so that's kind of our sort of therapeutic realm that I think both have our skill sets in. The realm that I'm kind of diving into right now is just the realm of, it's a more visceral realm. I see you and I'm with you. I'm with you right now. I'm not judging you. I'm not abandoning you. I am here. And I really believe that need, which most people, almost everybody, gets imperfectly met in their childhood, right? So it's
right.
it's not
mommy,
so
mommy.
but it's exactly the mommy, the daddy, the what
Mommy.
role our family is going to play in our support system. If we're lucky, we have a reasonably healthy system. We know lots of people who did not have healthy systems, and
Amen.
And that creates its own issues, which can many times be worked through with a good therapist. But at the core of it is this child part of ourselves, or infant part of ourselves, that wants to be seen and accepted and held, and regardless of what mistakes I know it does sound almost patronizing or infantile, but it is still in us. Just like
Absolutely.
You were saying,
it's
rudimentary. Just like you were saying, we're all fucked up. We're all also a wounded child.
That's right.
Level. And
that's right. We never lose it. Everybody out there knows that we want to be held, that we want to be taken care of, that sometimes we want mommy. I want to say all of us, but I would say almost all of us go through life a little fraudulently, behaving as if we're adults when really we feel like children from time to time. And so we kind of fake it and present outwardly as if we're sophisticated, as if we're competent, as if we're grown-ups,
as if we have our shit together.
Right.
That's what like we go
and
around,
we all do that. We all do that.
Right. We all do that. We all, and most of the people that I know and you know, I've done a pretty good job of that, right? Here we are landed in Fairfield County. You don't tend to land here
Connecticut.
without some degree of competency in that realm, you know? And so,
Yeah, you can't,
and-
you can't, you can't fake it till you make it. I like to say you have to be it till you are it.
Right. However, remember I said that story once, I wanted to write this, this book called, because I used to live near the beach in Fairfield, which is a beautiful town, really amazing. And I used to go for a walk on the beach quite often, and sometimes I would see people often.
We worked on the
We
beach.
worked on the beach a few times, did some sessions there. But I think I might have shared with you, I want to write this book called I'm Living at the Beach, How Come I'm Miserable? Remember that? And what it had to do with, I was meeting lots of people in my practice and in my, that despite having seemingly made it, right? They have the nice house near the beach and, you know, good children and things like, they were pretty darn unhappy.
Why does that make you miserable?
Why does that make me miserable? Why does that make me unhappy?
Yeah, you said I'm living at the beach and
How,
I'm miserable.
how come I'm miserable?
So how,
Right.
how is your exposure to that make you miserable? The answer is easy, and you know it. And we're here to say it. Just don't do that.
Just don't do that. Right. That Bob Newhart moment. Just stop doing that. Right.
Well, I don't know what it is. Guy goes to the doctor, says, "Doctor, it hurts when I go like that." Doctor goes,
"Don't do that." Right. However, we know how difficult it is. I mean, our work becomes in, again, here's where the going to the therapeutic part, helping them to not do that, right? Because
guiding them,
you know, because our knee-jerk reaction is to double down on the competency game. Okay, so whatever it is that I've learned to fit in, remember those roles we talked about, father role, the psychiatrist role, that, you know, the role that gets my needs met on a certain level for affirmation, and that I belong. Okay, so we'll just tend to double down on those things. But how come, if we're so good at those things, right, we're still not really at peace, we're not content, right? And I think it's because the other side of us, that little child or our darknesses, are getting subjugated to the basement. You go down in the basement and be in the basement, right? Because your role is to be the competent doctor, the competent husband, the competent father. That's your role. And everybody needs you now to be that role. If you come in one day and say, you know what, I'm a mess. And
I can't do this anymore.
And I don't know if I can do this anymore. Not only is that scary, I mean, that freaks everybody out in the whole system, right?
Well, because you've been lying to them, essentially. if you were moving toward that point and covering it up, you isolated yourself in your lies, and that's corrosive.
So that's what I mean by, I'm not saying, when I say miserable, I'm kind of what I like to call low level misery. Like your life is sort of ostensibly pretty good. Like you've in some way, here we are, we've made it. And yet there can be a very deep sadness or longing or sense of alienation. I mean, how many people have been in this office here who maybe have their jobs, their spouses, their children, and come in and say, you know, I'm feeling really lonely.
119.
But do you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. In other words, they don't understand how they don't understand the incongruency with where they are and what they've accomplished versus how they feel. And it goes to something very fundamental. And you and I have talked about this a lot. In fact, I probably learned this from you. If you have expectations or assumptions that are incongruent with reality, in that gap is where all suffering is. Now, you can influence reality a little bit. So let's say you go from here to here. What's left to reduce that gap which ipso facto means reduce the suffering, which is my job, is to help you understand that it's the expectations that need to be modified. The
Yes.
aspirations, the
Right.
assumptions
Right.
that are wrong,
Right.
that create the patterns in your life that deliver you to unhappy places.
Right. So, I mean, you and I mean, I
So
remember.
change your fucking expectations and that hew them closer to reality and cured. Get out.
Mostly, I think I agree with you.
I'm
but,
being
you know,
glib, of
No,
course,
I know
but-
you're being glib, and I remember. I think I shared with you. This is where I think in that story of when my parents got divorced back when I was 13 years old, and one of my parents' friends took me out to breakfast. Somebody who knew my parents, knew me, and
And who cared about you?
who cared
obviously.
about me, and she was just asking me about how you doing, Greg? How you feeling? And I was trying to be as forthcoming as I could at 13 years old, about the mixed feelings I was having about my parents' divorce. And at one point, there's this pause in the conversation. And she just looks at me and she says, Greg, expectations fuck up relationships. And
That's brilliant.
it was
That's a
brilliant.
brilliant insight.
it was brilliant on a number of levels. In the major one, which is, I don't think I'd ever heard an adult swear at me in earnest, meaning like, just really wanted to get the point across. She literally used that
I
word.
know that
Yeah.
feeling. It's
And-
amazing
yeah.
you say that.
Yeah.
My father, who was a proper man and a
Yeah.
prominent attorney and formal, got angry one time at something that I think I probably owned in some accurate or inaccurate way, and and I'd never heard him swear before, used the word fuck, because he was at frustration and anger. And we're living in the city, on the curb at 3rd Avenue and 61st Street, I remember it, is my point. And I started to cry.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Well, you knew something was wrong in that moment.
Yeah,
right?
but that somehow I was blameworthy.
Mm.
Let me tell you something. Children are never blameworthy, although I was more than a child then, and I probably deserved some accountability. But it was the anger that led him to startling me.
Yeah. Well, so my point was that it was a very poignant moment. I've never forgotten it. I've built a whole practice around it in a way,
Really?
Well,
What do you
just
mean?
in
What do you
terms
mean?
of like recognizing when my expectations are and my desires are leading towards happiness or suffering.
For you?
For me, yeah. So I've noticed it in me, and then I've tried to help other people notice it. And but
In other words, that's an important thing to be noticing.
right. But for a moment, again, I'm just, for some reason, again, this is where I am today in this moment. There's that other side of the coin, which I just think we're remiss in forgetting, which is the empathy, right? The empathy is so key. So we can sit here and say, oh, just stop doing those expectations. And on a part of you, intellectually, most of you are going to understand what we're talking about. But emotionally and spiritually, you're going to be like, go screw yourself, okay? Because you haven't been empathized with enough. You haven't felt that I really understand
that you're
and
in
feel
your
pain.
their shoes,
Right,
that you're experiencing what they're experiencing,
So-
and bringing
right.
you to that, so that the two of you can come up with a solution.
So this is the part about what I mean about being seen and being held. Like,
Right.
I am at this place in my whole
Empathy.
development and my whole exploration where I'm just realizing again how essential that is to the healing. I mean, because
You're talking about this in terms of your profession, in terms of what you're selling.
I'm talking about it in terms of myself too. Honestly, I mean, I tend to teach, as many of you know out there, from where I'm at. And I'm noticing some of my own needs to be seen and to be held are coming up, right?
That's a
And
problem.
I know.
That's a problem. My patients aren't going to take care of me. Your students
I agree.
are not going to be taking care of you. They're
No.
coming to you in much the same way that they come to me
Yeah.
for us to take care of them.
I
That's
agree.
the contract. So
Right.
if your expectation is hold me, and I know you're way past that, you're going to be frustrated, if not angry, and certainly disappointed. You need to find that elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So, but maybe, so that my point is I am realizing not that need, despite being 57 years old and having, lots of friendships and relationships, it's like, it's still there and it doesn't go, that's the,
yeah,
and I realize.
because it's primal.
And in my
It's
realizing
primal.
it,
We need that.
Exactly.
We
We
thirst
need
for that.
that affirmation. We
Validation.
need that validation. And so the reason I share it now is I'm realizing, again, that's an essential part of our growth. And again, we can also do it to a certain extent for ourselves. We can self-love. Ultimately, this is a program of self-affirmation, self-love, self-consideration, self-compassion, because most of us, and I look at myself as well, are pretty hard on ourselves. We're not all that kind to ourselves.
True.
Somebody shared with me,
We're all very hard on
yesterday,
ourselves.
we can only
Most of us.
love others as well as we have learned to love ourselves. And I thought that was just brilliant, like that,
That's the high water mark.
right.
They're not going to go over that high water mark.
So if you have let's just say an unhealthy relationship with yourself, then guess what your relationships are going to be like, right? They're not, you're just not going to
you
be
don't have the
able
capacity.
to show up. You're not going to have that capacity you have the capacity to be competent. Again, what most people do is they overcompensate by, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be, all the labels. I'm going to be a good worker, a good mom, good.
Or we're going
brother,
to behave as if
and-
we care.
right.
We're going to behave as if
Yeah.
we have empathy. You can't fake empathy. Empathy requires listening and putting yourself in their shoes as authentically as you can.
Mhm.
I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist. If I had to boil down the essence of what the most important thing about clinical psychology is, it's empathy, clearly.
Right.
In forensic psychology, it's persuasion. That's a story for another day.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, I just think that when we're helping people, right, which we do, that just to remind ourselves and remind myself of how important that empathetic component is. It's you're just not going to be able
Indispensable.
to make any progress.
Right.
otherwise.
And the people with whom we're working
Right.
know it, whether you're being authentically empathetic or not.
Mhm.
And they know it right away, well, almost right away.
Yeah.
So, I guess what this conversation is, what are you doing here? What are we doing here? What's the point of this? If you're listening to this, it might accelerate your getting out of where you are a little bit or towards something else you want a little bit. We're giving you what we think are answers. We're the cheat sheet.
Yeah, I mean, we're on this journey too. That's the thing. I mean, I think that one of the things that Norman and I started working together, I think we very quickly realized that we were kind of co-collaborators in our own
Vulnerabilities.
vulnerabilities
I came to you when I was hurting, when I was weak, and when I was vulnerable, and I needed guidance. And I had come to the realization through some experiences that the scientist in me was not all that there is. You know, not everything can be explained cause effect. There's, you know, true reality is, the foundation of true reality is probability. And there's a place for spirituality in that. And I came to you believing that in a raw way, not knowing what to do about it.
Mhm.
And you shepherded me to, I don't know, I have Buddhas and Tao Te Ching all over my office.
Well, as you said, you know, there are other ways of looking at and experiencing reality other than through our intellect. And I think that's
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's really
the
key,
first lesson.
is that yes, we can rationalize things, and a rational tool is incredibly helpful, but there are just limitations to that in terms of our understanding of ourselves and of our sort of place in the universe, and also in terms of getting beyond figuring things out. Part of what we're
Well,
talking
there's stuff beyond anybody's ability to figure out. There's shit going on that we, as, okay, maybe we're at the top of the food chain, but we're still on the same phylogenetic scale as a sponge. That's something beyond our capacity to understand.
Right.
That's what captures me these days.
Yeah. I mean, I think I shared with you a few years ago, I came to the realization, and it was quite a stark one, that my mind was not ultimately going to be the tool that got me where I wanted to go, that gets me where I want to go. But purely
The
trying
reason,
to reason and figure
logic
things
and
out.
rationality.
And if I just make the right choices,
Yeah.
then my life will be fine.
As if you had the power to figure it out.
Right. Some
Which you don't, and neither do you,
Right.
and neither do I.
So then you have to say, well, what is there then? And then you realize there is another realm of wisdom that when we can get quiet enough.
Another one of wisdom?
Realm, like another
realm.
realm of wisdom, a sort of like
Right.
whether it be
Sphere.
source or spirit or something like that, that we can tune into if we can get the mind to calm down. Right. So
to understand that there's more than just what the mind does.
Right.
I
And,
totally agree with that.
so that's where, you start on this journey of exploring breath and the body, and you go through the different,
and you need
elements and things
the
like that.
reinforcement. You need the feedback that it works, or you're not going to continue.
Mhm.
So I'm here to report it worked. Well, it works for me. I mean, breathing alone. I mean, knowing how to breathe, knowing how to let go is one of the most powerful therapeutic tools arrows I have in my quiver.
Mhm. Yeah, it's amazing, kind of
Amazing.
a few minutes of
Look, wait a minute. I just want to do something. We have
Sure.
time to do this. Look at me. I want you to pay attention. Empty your mind. Just watch what I do here. I'm willing to bet that most of you, in some vicarious way, experienced a twinge of relaxation just by witnessing me on video. You're not even here. Imagine the relaxation available to you if you do that yourself. And that was just one breath. That's my point.
Yeah. Very
Powerful.
Very powerful. I mean, the breath is this incredible link and bridge between our consciousness and our subconscious.
And it's so basic.
And it's
life.
It is. We can't live long without it, right? So, but we can.
And look at David
explore
Blaine.
Yeah, we can explore that link between our consciousness and our subconscious.
Well, I don't need to explore. I just need to know that it opens me to the idea that, the scientist in me was not all right. The rationalist in me was not all right.
Well, when you say that, do you mean like, oh, well, I'll just be able to kind of, again, figure my way out through this problem? Because
No,
there's
it's
scientists
my
now that are
giving
studying
myself-
the breath, right? I mean, there's lots of
it's
people
giving
out there,
myself
but-
up to the idea that there is truth and there is value and there is therapy in inviting into your life that which is not scientifically known, medically known, organically known, that there is a reality beyond all that.
Mhm.
That I come to that very late in my life,
Mhm.
and I am persuaded.
Mm. That's awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm lucky.
Mhm.
I'm lucky. The troubles I went through, I wouldn't have changed them because it led me to you and here and this.
Right. Yeah, no, we're really blessed in our journeys,
Yeah.
you know, through our trials and tribulations.
Well, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the default way of being, what we talked about. M. Scott Peck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing, do you know that book, The Road Less Traveled, the only book that ever sold more than that was the Bible.
No
You know
kidding.
that? That's what I've read.
Uh-huh.
And I believe it.
It's a great book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I mean-
he's dead decades and people are still buying it.
Right. Still referring to it. Well, it was one of those seminal books in my life too, when I
Yeah.
first read it.
That would be
And,
here now.
Exactly. Another one.
Around us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Are we done
I
here?
feel like we had a good start.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And,
we've emptied our tanks. They will certainly fill up again
yeah.
and we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back and let us know what you think of this. Whether you like it,
Can they do that?
don't like it. Well,
How do do
well,
that?
they're gonna
They'll
be able
let
to
you
make,
know.
no, they can make comment on the YouTube page. When we
Oh.
put it on the YouTube page.
Oh, let me
So-
know if that happens.
Oh, well, something's gonna happen. And so, yeah, you can just make your comments. Let us know. You can ask your questions too. So the other
How do
thing
they
is,
reach you if they want to talk with you?
just look me up, Greg Barringer, on the internet, and I'll pop up. And under my website.
And I'm Norman Klein, PhD.com, Klein.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to call and talk? I'm down.
Right. So, and also just write down your stuff on the YouTube page and like us, all that. Then you can subscribe to when this is going to go up on my YouTube channel. So subscribe to that. I've got a whole bunch of stuff up there in terms of yoga and meditation, but this will be there too. And yeah, we really look forward to hearing from you and hopefully continuing these conversations. But we also want to know what you want to hear about. You could ask us questions.
That's a good
And
idea.
We'll try to answer them, or we'll talk about them, and we'll just see
Yeah, give us a
where
topic.
that takes us.
Great idea.
You know, every once in a while.
The blind squirrel finds an acorn.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
All right. Take care. Thanks a lot. All right. Okay. Looks like we're okay here.